Okay, Bo, you recently filed charges relating to Charlie Guerin. Why don't you give us a little bit of information about that whole CPS issue?
Yeah, great question. First of all, thank you all for having me here. Great to see you all again. 4 days before the election last cycle, when I ran against Charlie Guerin, I was having a fundraiser that Pat Green was headlining. My wife and I returned home to find out that CPS and the police had showed up to our house, alleging we were abusing our 4 young children. They showed up again the next day, and then they showed up again the next day. And then we had the election, and they never showed up again. And it took us another month to finally get them to communicate with us. It took us another 4 months to get them to close the case. And then it took another 6 months to get the case file from them. And then it took several months for me and my legal team to figure out and investigate what we should do. So we filed initially what's called a Rule 202 petition. I'm not an attorney, but you attorneys in here will know what that means. It's like less than a lawsuit, because once we received the case file, we knew where the allegations came from, and they were statements lifted from my wife as she was talking to people at the polls in front of Guerin campaign workers. One of whom was his campaign manager. The other one was a guy who blog walked for him every single day for 6 months and was in his campaign office every day. So these were not strangers to his campaign, they were his campaign staff. Anyway, we know that it was a malicious and false report. When the judge simultaneously dismissed the motion that one of the guys had filed to dismiss the case, but also dismissed our Rule 202 petition, we had no other choice but to file a lawsuit. I'm not a fan of lawsuits. I've never filed one before in my life. This is the first time I've ever filed a lawsuit, but we decided to elevate because we want to get to the bottom of who else knew in the campaign. Because it obviously came from 2 different people in the campaign on 2 different days. So we know that the campaign people were involved. So that's the basic 30-second story.
Okay, so it seems like perhaps Charlie Guerin and his staff aren't necessarily the most upstanding people, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about his recent marriage? And is there a conflict of interest there?
Yeah, I'm sure there is, and you know, he married his longtime girlfriend, so you know, finally made her an honest woman, I guess, which is a great thing. But she's a well-known liberal lobbyist in Austin. You know, I don't talk about that on the campaign trail because, frankly, the only people who seem to really care about that are people like us who are conservatives and value voters, because I think economic issues really affect most of the people in my district more, and that's what they're mostly focused on for the average voter. Listen, there are a number of things I could talk about personally. I choose not to do that because my opponent did that to me. And he spent the whole campaign talking about me personally and trying to assassinate my character. And his character is already public record. Everybody already knows who he is and what he's done, so I don't have to bring it up. Everybody already knows.
So tell us how did your campaign go last time? You obviously didn't win, but how close did you get? What are you doing differently now so that maybe you will win, and where's your campaign at today?
Right, so the thing that a lot of, and of course it got Thomas McNutt last cycle, but a lot of the movement conservatives who ran last time, challenging powerful liberal incumbents, ran into the same buzzsaw called voter turnout. And turnout statewide, when it doubled, in my district it was up 219%. So we found out afterwards, when we back tested who we were targeting before the election and then who actually voted, we were only targeting 46% of the voters who turned out. So among those 46% of the people, I was pulling up 6 points before the election. You know, we never anticipated how many people were going to turn out, and so therefore, you know, a person who's never voted in a primary, they're going to vote for the general election name that they recognize, and that's what happened all across the state, including in my race. So we think we have a better filter for who we think the voters are going to be this time. We hope to be closer to 80 or 90% on our targeted list, and if that's the case, based on the response I'm seeing knocking on doors, the response is better this time than it was last time. 74% of the people I talked to were supporting me, only 4% are supporting him. The other 22% don't have time to talk or are undecided. So even if you lump them into his side, the numbers at the door are really encouraging. People constantly bring up his bad record. He exposed himself a lot more this, especially in the special session, with votes he took specifically when he teamed up with every Democrat to block key items of Governor Abbott's agenda. And so he's really vulnerable this time. He is showing himself to be more desperate this time. If you just look at his Facebook page, you can tell that he's much more concerned about this race than he was last time. He's taking me seriously. We're gonna have to spend, he spent $1.6 million last time. We spent $600,000. That was over an 11-month campaign. I announced 3 months out, so it's still gonna be, it's a shorter campaign, but we're still gonna have to spend about $500,000. So it's a big race. We've got lots of people, like you all who volunteer to come help and knock doors, which is gonna be a huge help. We're knocking as many doors as we can, and we're just really encouraged at the way it's going so far.
Fantastic. We'll see you 2 weeks,
Okay,
2
thank you so
weekends.
much.
Okay, so y'all, we need you to walk